camera is on.
Welcome to Nights at the Round Table, a round table discussion on speculative fiction books and film. Hi everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Nights at the Round Table. Today we are discussing Stephen King's second installment in the Dark Tower series, The Drawing of the Three. I'm sitting here with PY, and we're going to start with general impressions of the book. PY?
Out of the entire series, the second book, while it might be the most important for all the character setup, because after this point they're together until about the end, it's probably the weakest in the series.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that might be true. But mostly because of the way it switches from the first book to the second. The first book was very much a weird western. And the way the first book opens with this iconic scene of the man chasing somebody through the desert. It's just literally walking through the desert. Oh, no horse with no name. Okay, sorry.
No horse.
No horse. Horse is dead.
They were harmed in the filming.
So, yeah, the switch from the weird western to the world jumping thing that this was. Beach, yeah.
It's essentially one very long beach with a few doors on it.
Yeah, essentially. Yep. Quite literally doorways in the sand.
Monsters Inc.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
A little bit.
Little bit.
Just who's getting pulled into the nightmare.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know, the switch for me was, did make this book less enjoyable than the first. Really, Roland is the only thing that was interesting and held it together and was the only reason why I kept reading.
Actually, that's fair.
Yeah. There's something about that man, just the bloody single-mindedness of, like,
his drive.
He's just going to get to the tower and...
With or without the people, he's pulling through the doors.
Yeah.
Which apparently he needs and doesn't believe it.
Yeah. It was still a good read, but very different from the first one. And I miss the weird western.
It went from and probably why I liked it the least, it went from it being all about one person. This one person's ideas, this one person's drive, to you still have that one person, but he's no longer the focus. So you have the other ones coming in one by one, and it's a shit show to itself. Because they don't like Roland, and they don't like each other.
Wow.
Short of Jake.
Well, Jake.
Who comes back. Who died in the first.
Spoiler alert. He dies and comes back.
It's like 30 years old by this point. I really wish Robert would have been here. I would have loved to hear what this guy said in a second.
Right?
If he even made it that far.
Yeah. Well, he might have liked this one better because it wasn't like the first one.
That's fair.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm in two minds about it because I still enjoyed the read. But I only really enjoyed it when Roland was being a gunslinger in the pharmacy, like, shooting everyone out. I'm like, yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Because he needed aspirin.
He needed, what do they call the antibiotic? K-Flex in this book?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
So, also, the way that the story forces Roland to pull the other characters in the form of a need is because, exhausted after chasing after his man in black and winding up on the beach, he takes a nap. I mean, man's exhausted. He falls asleep. And then wakes up to losing 2 fingers of his right hand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's already, ambidextrous and can shoot the crap out of anything with both hands, but now he's down to one real hand, and you try shooting and loading bullets simultaneously, missing your index and your middle finger. So it kind of creates that need of him needing somebody else. But at the same time, it's just like, okay, so now he lost his fingers. He's no longer a dual pistol swinging gunslinger. And he's basically dying of a fever due to the infection.
Yay. Thrilling stuff. Although, I do...
The pharmacy shoot-up makes up for it.
The pharmacy shoot-up does make up for it. And the silly cops who, fall for his... and he's... Aww. But I do like the lobstrosities, as they end up being called, because there was some comedy in it, in that, they were terribly scary and could, like, bite through bone with just a snip of their mouths. But every time a wave crashed, they would have to stop and put their claws up. And just the image in my head of food.
Wave!
Food. It cracked me up.
They apparently also taste good.
Like lobster. Which is why they were called lobstrosities. Because they were lobsters, but not quite. They were nuclear mutated lobsters.
Like I think that's also one of the reasons. It's that book one, the world's moved on. It's, who knows when our time could have been. The world's moved on, and, it's whatever's left by that point in time. Each door that Roland comes across to pull somebody through boils back to our world before the year 2000.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts throwing the modern world back in, and you're just like, but it doesn't fit.
Yeah. I don't want the modern world.
I want this random, crazy, lobstrositied world.
Mm-hmm.
Without the garlic butter, because God knows you're finding any.
Maybe there'd be some wild garlic floating around. Not the butter, though. Just floating pats of butter.
I'll take that one.
Literal butterflies!
I'm looking off screen. No campaign ideas.
Yeah, it's true. I want more in Roland's world. I'm having lots of issues talking, apparently. But I want more in Roland's world. I know what the modern world is. It's boring to me. If I'm picking up a fantasy novel, I want the fantasy. And especially since the first book set it up. This interesting world that's on its dying breath.
Especially
so well.
When they're going over the train tracks under...
the deer?
Well, there's the deer, but I'm also thinking of when he loses Jake in the first place. He loses them underground.
Oh, yeah, the slow mutants.
So the slow mutants in the subway?
Yeah, was it a subway? I thought it was
subway,
a mine.
metro.
Oh, possibly.
But it was all these aspects of, and it's something that I wanted to carry more on, which the series does. After this point. So it's like it starts here, and then goes here, and then goes back to here. So, I mean, the series itself has a straight line, but of awesome. Except for 2. But it's also the most important because of the setup.
Yeah. Oh, and that's not to say that 2 is just a bad book. It's not. But
just compared to the rest.
First one, yeah. Yeah.
It's like a heartbeat in the wrong direction.
That said, it was not a slog to get through. It was an easy read. I read it in an afternoon.
It was a slog the first time. The second and third I made it through. But then again, I was going straight through. So I went from 1 to, what the hell am I reading?
Yeah.
I'm like, but no, who's this drug addict? Why do I care?
Oh, Eddie. That shoot-up scene was amazing, though.
But it's that the characters he's pulling through aren't perfect. So,
well, good, because neither's Roland.
No, but I mean, you have the drug addict, you have the cripple, and you have the guy who remembers dying, because he kind of did, but not in his worlds.
Sort of, yeah.
So, he's mentally scarred. Big time.
Well, and so is Susanna. When you first
physically and mentally.
Yeah.
So they're not... It's a ragtag group of non-perfect characters. But putting them together for the first time just... It takes a while, but I also appreciate that he did it in one book. So that after that, it's the evolution of the 4 of them together, not just, alright, well, we concentrated on this character, now it's time to concentrate on that character. I probably would have stopped the series.
Yeah?
Had it been one book per person, I probably would have stopped. Having it all done,
I don't think there was enough there for one book.
Well, there probably could have been.
If you really stretched it, I would have stopped reading too, because that would have been stretching out the story to a pitiful degree, and it really frustrates me when writers do that, because you can friggin' tell. Right, you get paid by the word, don't you? That's what that book feels like, yeah. Yeah, so there wasn't enough there for more than one book, I don't think.
Thankfully.
Yeah. That said, there are some really brilliant scenes in it.
The shootout in the pharmacy.
The shootout in the pharmacy was one of my favorites. It really was.
Out of them, wait, there's a shootout in the pharmacy, but there's also the house.
Yeah, the first one with Eddie.
There's a shootout in the pharmacy with Eddie, but I'm talking about when they finally pulled Jake through. The house is trying to eat him.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
That was brilliant. I found Odetta/Detta the hardest part to get through. Because there's no real crazy that happens compared to the other two.
As in fantasy crazy.
As
there's
in
crazy,
as in fantasy
but
crazy.
there's like plays on what schizophrenia is kind of crazy.
So I guess it does have the same level of crazy, just not in the fantasy sense.
Just not in the fantasy sense. No. Yeah, that's true. The house eating Jack.
That traumatized me.
My first reading, for me too.
Sitting there on the bus going, close. Bag. Quite literally, this book, close, bag. I'm like, that's enough crazy for one day.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you tomorrow.
That was good, though. And I think the way King writes Roland is you can feel the conflict with Roland. There's the overwhelming urge to get to the tower, and then there is, but I love my friends. And even though the tower will win every time, you know it's tough for Roland every single time.
There's that.
Yeah. Which is why he's such a compelling character, which is why I finished the book.
Probably also, he also starts to show a little more. It's not just a gunslinger who maybe had mild affections for a woman that he stayed with for a little while before the town went crazy. Robert's favorite part. But it's the fact that he starts to show a few more emotions.
Yeah.
He's still driven and nothing's going to stop this man. But he's no longer one-dimensional.
Yeah. He
starts to show maybe a second.
Maybe a second.
He becomes 2D.
Yeah. But it's wafer thin. Yeah, I agree with that. He does start to become more fully human.
And the beach was just... Thinking about the beach, thinking about the desert, the entire series is a line. And not in the... they're going from point A to B to C to D. They're quite literally walking on a line the whole time. You walk through the desert, walk across the beach. Spoilers, go across the train. 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3's all on the train.
I don't remember. Oh, yes, that's right. That's right. I remember now.
3 brought the series back to me to, I need to finish this.
So was there anything that really you didn't like at all about this book?
Probably the fact that it wasn't all about Roland. In my literature that I like to read, I prefer a novel being about the one person. If there's other people that are in it, sure, great. But it's when the focus starts being less about the person who it's supposed to be about, I can get disinterested. Mm-hmm. Just like I would never be able to read one of those long-standing series that in book 1 this is the main character, in book 2 this is the main character, but the other main character's around, and then but they develop. I'm like, no.
Are you talking Wheel of Time?
In particular, because of this conversation, the Cheryl Kenyon series.
Oh,
my mom reads them, and apparently so does my other half. And they're like, well, the other character shows up. I'm like, no.
I don't want
Give me Dresden the whole way through. Don't decide to, just... Ooh. A novel of Marconi would be great.
Yes.
But not in the main line. Sub-book.
Spin-offs.
Great, but not mainline. And that's a little about how I felt. It's that he takes a bit of a back seat. He becomes the backseat driver, actually.
Yeah, actually, quite literally.
And everyone else just takes a turn at the steering wheel.
Yeah, no, I agree. That is something that I didn't particularly like. Because in the first book I fell so in love with the character of Roland. Not literally in love, but he's such a compelling, interesting character. And he really did deserve more screen time in this book. And the times that he did get the screen time, it was amazing.
Pharmacy!
It is literally my favourite scene, that pharmacy scene. Mostly because of the $6,500 Rolex that he uses to pay for like $60 drugs.
So true.
I hope this covers it. Bye. And he's like, the pharmacist is like, nobody saw this watch.
Nobody.
Nobody.
I'll just write this transaction as a loss.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't.
That's it. It's a good book, but in the scope of the series and of Roland,
Yeah, that's true. More Roland. Give me more Roland. That's what I really want.
and that's why the rest aren't that bad in that sense, because of the fact that it's already been done, that the screen time's been split, and there's more of an even amount per, but it's always Roland behind the steering wheel.
Mm. Okay, good. I'm trying to remember how long ago I read the series, because I didn't even remember that the second book was called The Drawing of the Three. That's how long ago it's been since I've read the series.
My favorite is 4.
Yeah.
Because it's his backstory. It is his backstory, so he is full in the driver's seat.
We get a little bit of that in 1, though, right?
But it's a full... Roland's a teenager.
Oh, okay.
So they stop on the side of the road and they talk for God knows how long, as he tells them exactly why he is the way he is, why he chased the man in black. And it's also like this thick. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4.
But I like books that are like this thick.
5, 6, 7 are about this. They're all, but 4 I think is the longest out of the 7. I can't comment on 4.5. I have to read it after reading 4.
What's 4.5?
Through the Keyhole.
Oh,
Went Through the Keyhole. It was written or it was published 2-3 years ago. Like, it's very new compared to the rest of the series.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
So
I'll add that to the list of books that I really need to read. What did you really love about this book?
yes, there's the pharmacy scene, but more than the pharmacy scene, it was the sheer terror of the house trying to eat Jake. You really see his horror side in this one, especially through that house.
Yes.
The fact that I had to close the book afterwards and it was a sunny day, I'm just like, no, I need to, just disconnect right now because I feel terrified. And then I was like, I don't want to go walk into that school building and I don't want to go home. I'm just going to sit outside right now.
The house is trying to eat me, guys. That's true. I don't know why. I literally just finished reading the book last night, but I'd forgotten about the house scene.
And it's terrifying.
It is. It's very scary. And you're right. That was really well done. My favourite thing about this, I think I've already said it, Roland. He's a great character. He's just so interesting.
And he doesn't let the loss of, 2 fingers off 1 gun hand stop him.
Yeah.
Because he still has the other one.
Yeah. And how he just keeps going. I'm fairly certain that halfway through that desert I would have fallen over in the first book and just been like, fuck it, I'm done.
Give a quarter for me.
Yeah. Just done. But this guy, riddled with infection and literally drags himself by his elbows across the beach. And it's just...
And let's be honest, walking across a beach is not the easiest thing with the sand and the water and the tides. Yeah. It's just like... Couldn't you have walked where there was gravel over there? No, you walk through the sand.
Well, he missed the desert.
I wouldn't have.
Or something. Oh, I also like that they mention scurvy in this. Because they eat nothing but lobster for what feels like months on end. And so they get scurvy.
It's a hell of a long beach.
Yeah. Also, Roland was not feeling very well.
Too much lobster.
Yeah, and so he mentioned that they got, what was it, sailor sickness or something like that, on dry land.
But it's all the little details that he puts in as it goes. Well, yeah, it's not a bad book. It's just, compared to the rest, it's setup that needed to be done. So it's like, as long as you can, in my case, trudge through it, the rest is awesome.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it wasn't a bad book by any means. I had zero problem reading this book. I went through it really, really quickly, as I said. So, yeah, it's clearly not a bad read. It's just that I want more Roland. I want more weird Western. I want more of this crazy world that is kind of like ours. So much so that it shares some songs with us, but isn't our world. I want that uncanny. And we spent too much time in New York City, for my tastes, in this book.
They do go back at one point.
Yeah, I know.
But it's brilliantly done.
Oh.
It was also in the later, I think it's in book 6. But I mean,
haven't read
by
those
that point, it's closer to our New York City than their New York City.
What? I still like the weird world.
Which is why 4's so great. It has that Western feel back.
Oh, good. Good, yay! Because I like that Western feel. There are two things that really fascinate me, beginnings and endings. And with this book, random laughter from the peanut gallery.
It'll make sense if you know the ending.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Stephen King does not do
10 points.
endings well, incidentally. I did not like his ending at The Stand. We reviewed that. It was such a cop-out. I was really pissed off. But... Your big hand.
Still have to read that one.
Yeah. Anyway, point is, this book, at least for the first book, it was an entire book of an ending. The world was ending, basically. Last breath. And I found that super fascinating, and that was lost in this book, even though we still at least get, like, some really awesome scenes with Roland.
Thank you, pharmacy scene.
Balthazar's, like, the shoot up there with Eddie, and then the pharmacy scene. Still the pharmacy scene is my favorite. Just, like, he turns around and shoots a knife out of somebody's hand without injuring that guy, and I'm like, you're the man, Roland. You're the man.
He might be level 20.
Or something. Yeah. So I really enjoyed the book. I just wish it was more of the weirdness of the ending. World ending kind of stuff then.
Which it gets back to, which is nice.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
If you were to give this one a star rating. Crickets.
That's it. I don't know. Like, there's a very huge love-hate relationship right now.
Okay, fine.
So it's just like, it's important. So it's like, from that point, you know, it gets... I don't know.
I gave it a 3.
I guess it's halfway there.
Yeah. That's it. 3 out of 5 for me.
Let's
because
go with
you still get Roland, you still get the awesome, like, Western style shootouts. Just it was not the same book as the first one. Completely so different, so much that it was a little jarring and felt
You get
out
the
of place.
awesome with the tedious in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, I never found him walking through the desert tedious because of why, and, you know, the little stops he makes. It shows more of the world.
And also,
it's a bloody beach with lobsters on it.
Lobster. I've never had lobster, actually, so that's a lie. I don't know what it tastes like.
What?
Yeah.
We need to fix this.
I'm down with that. Okay, so 3 out of 5 for both of us, I guess. Yeah. Well worth the read. There are some really awesome scenes, but more Roland, please.
It gets better.
She turned me into a newt. It got better. Would you like to pick the next one?
Da-da-da.
Go.
Yes. I'm like, don't drop it in coffee. 1,000 Words for Strangers by Julia, and I'm not going to butcher the last name.
Julie Trinata.
Oh, Julie Trinata. Yay, she's a Canadian author. I'm looking forward to this. 1,000 Words for Stranger by Julie Trinata. That'll be the book that we're reviewing next month. If you have any thoughts about the drawing of the three, do leave them in the comments down below or in our Goodreads book club. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks very much, guys. Bye!
This is an award-nominated show.
It's only because all my friends nominated it. Nobody else knows it exists.
Oh, you don't have that many friends.
Ouch! Accurate.